1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all the major modes have a 9 note away distance, and so that's going to be what we call a major 9. I'd rather call it a 9 note away sixth, and I'm sorry, major 9, a major 6. So it would be a 9 note away from the Mixolydian node's 5th modal half step. So what I'd rather call it. Okay, so lastly, if we go up 6 here, if we go up 6, that would land me out here, doon, and that would land me out here. And you got to be saying, hey, look, I thought Mixolydian's exactly the same as the Ionian, isn't it? It's exactly the same. But no, because this is going to land you now on an XY modal range, getting you from Mixolydian to Lydian, which would be 5 plus 6, 11 minus 7, which would get you a 5, 4 modal range. And that scale degree would be 7 then. And then the pointer is dying. It won't do it. 10 note away distance. 10 note away distance, that's different. So a 10 note away distance is different. Let's count that out. Because from here it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is where the Mixolydian is different. It's similar to the minors, which has a 10 note distance. But again, the little m shouldn't be telling you the 10. It's a 10 note away 7th. That's more like the minor. That's why Mixolydian is bluesy. So then we have, I'd rather call it a 10 note away from the Mixolydian 6th modal half step. All right, so that's the general idea. Now notice in Excel, we have this table and you can kind of hide columns to get everything side by side. Obviously, we can't do that as much in like a PDF or in OneNote. So I highly recommend getting used to Excel, but I'll show you just a couple ways that you might populate the table so you can see these things side by side and possibly give a resource to put them side by side. So let's see if I can move this down. And so, for example, you might have a table like this, where I have Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian, the 3 major modes. And I might just want to compare the scale degree intervals, meaning you have a perfect first, perfect first, perfect first for scale degree 1, first modal half step. Second scale degree is also a 2 note away major second across the board. Third scale degree has a 4 note away major third across the board. That's the big one, which you would completely expect. But the fourth scale degree or third modal half step has funniness happening on the Lydian. That's where the Lydian is different than the Ionian. Each of them have one interval different. It should be, by the way, not a diminished fifth, but an augmented fourth. The distance is the same, but we have 2 names for it. You can see the 4 over here, so it should be an augmented fourth. We discussed that before. But if you go to the 5th scale degree, which would be the 4th modal distance, that's the same across the board, 7 note away perfect 5th. If you go a distance of 6, it's going to be all the same, 9 note away major 6. And then if you do the 7th, that's where the Mixolydian is different. It has the minor interval or 10 note away distance instead of 11 if you go to the 7th scale degree, which is, in other words, is 6 steps up from the continent to continent. What if you compare it this way? Another way you might want to see it with the new naming convention. So now we're looking more at the modal distance. If I stay in the same spot, then of course I'm still on the Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian. I didn't go anywhere. If I go 1 modal half step up, then it's the same distance to get to that next continent. So the 1 represents the continent up that we're going, and the 2 represents the continents and oceans. What if I go 2 continents up? Well, then it's still going to take me the same distance of continents and oceans. The 4 represents the continents and oceans. The 2 represents the 2 continents. What if I want to go 3 continents up? Then the 3, we have the difference here for the Lydian once again, because it takes a continent and ocean distance of 6 from the Lydian to get 3 continents up. Whereas for the other 2, Ionian and Mixolydian, you would go 5 continent and oceans up to get to the 3rd continent up, right? And by the way, notice that this naming convention also means that you can drop either side. Notice over here, people usually drop the notes and they call this like a perfect 4th. but you don't know where it's going from or where it's measuring from. Over here, you could call this you could drop any one term, right? You could call this a 5-note away from the Ionian, and people would know what you're talking about. You could call it an Ionian third modal half step, and people could derive that it's 5 notes away. You could call it a 5-note away third modal half step. Drop the Ionian and use it just like you do over here, which means you'd have to define the point that you're starting from, right? So notice this naming convention is way more versatile than this one. It tells you where you're at on the board. It tells you the notes, and it tells you the distance in a proper naming convention. And if you want to make it more simplified, you can drop any one of the terms and still have enough information to name what you want to do. If you go 5 out, it would be a 7-note away from the Ionian fourth modal half step. So to get 4 continents up, it would be 7 continents and oceans from each point in the clockwise direction. If you want to go to the 5th continent up, it's going to be a distance of 9 continents and oceans for each of them. And if you want to go 6 continents up, then it's going to be 11 normally, but that's where the Mixolydian is different, where it's only where you have 10. And then you might compare each of them, right? There's another table. You might want both of those side by side. So now you can see the scale degrees and the 2 different measuring constructions side by side this way. So just note that if you're able to navigate in Excel, then you can hide any columns you want and make any comparisons, because you might want any other comparison. You might want to add the modal ranges to some of them just in the number format, or possibly just in the letter format. You might want to see these columns or not see these columns. These columns are kind of redundant if you see them over here, but in Excel you can see the formula and see how these are derived, which again is useful, because then it'll see how you should be putting things together. If you see how the table's put together, then that is actually how your mind should visualize it, right? So anyways, that's that one.